Welcome to this channel. Mau belajar bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris dengan cara yang seru, santai, dan mudah dipahami? You're in the right place. Belajar kosakata dan ekspresi sehari-hari. Learn daily vocabulary and expressions. Dengarkan contoh situasi nyata. Listen to real-life examples. Subscribe sekarang dan nyalakan notifikasi. Let's learn together and have fun.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to becoming incredibly well-informed. Today, we're taking a closer look at a really fascinating source. It's an Indonesian language lesson, and it focuses entirely on how to talk about the past. So our mission for this deep dive is, well, it's basically to unpack a real-world Indonesian conversation. We'll pull out the useful vocabulary, and maybe most importantly, really try to demystify the grammar behind how you discuss past events in Indonesian. This is going to be super useful, I think, for anyone learning the language. You get these practical insights you can, use right away.
Exactly. And what's really unique about this source and why it's so great for learners is how it lays out the conversation. You get it side by side, Indonesian and English. So the examples are incredibly clear, really concrete. We'll be zeroing in on those direct English-Indonesian parallels. That's how we'll really get the mechanics and sort of the nuances.
Okay, sounds good. So let's set the scene. Let's dive straight into this dialogue. It's between two characters, Sari and Putra. And look, this isn't just some dry language exercise, right? It feels like a genuine window into how an everyday chat might happen in Indonesia, especially, after something big has occurred, and the specific event they're talking about, an earthquake. Which, as our source points out, is something that, talking about it is part of daily life there.
Yeah, that's right. The basic scenario is Sari and Putra are talking about the aftermath of a pretty major earthquake. And all the ripple effects, trains not running, massive traffic jams, power outages, that kind of thing. It provides a really natural, very relatable context for talking about things that happened before. It gives us a proper feel for how they'd actually recount these past events, showing the language, in action, in a real situation.
And it just jumps right in, doesn't it? Reflecting that immediate aftermath. Sari kicks things off, she says. Katanya kemarin si Lisa harus pulang dari kantornya jalan kaki selama jam 2. Which translates to, hey, they said Inda had to walk 4 hours home from her office, 4 hours.
And what's fascinating right there immediately is how they're referencing a past event. Sari uses kemarin, that's yesterday, but, and this is key, she does it without using anything like a traditional past tense verb form that we'd expect in English. It's a huge hint about one of the main grammar points we're going to get into. Putra's response is also really telling. He says, ya ampun, karena keretanya tidak jalannya, kalau dipikir-pikir, aku merasa beruntung kalau kemarin aku ambil cuti. Oh my goodness, it's because the train wasn't running, wasn't it? When I think about it, I feel lucky that I took a day off yesterday.
Wow. It really paints a picture of just immediate chaos, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And Putra then goes on describing the wider problems. He says, Sudah gempa bumi besar, macet di mana-mana, jaringan telepon lumpuh seharian, mati lampu pula. Which is, first of all, the earthquake was big, traffic jams were everywhere, the telephone network was down all day, and there was a blackout as well. It's like an absolutely dreadful day. You can sort of feel the frustration.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how quickly the conversation moves from just, rehashing what happened to, okay, so how do we handle this better next time? Practical stuff. They talk about whether Facebook was still up for communication. And then this idea of having a prearranged meeting spot for emergencies. They mention lapangan di dekat kantor pos, the field near the post office. It becomes a very pragmatic discussion, really getting down to preparedness.
Okay, so we've heard Sari and Putra navigating this earthquake aftermath. Let's zoom in now on the specific words they're using, because this chat isn't just a story, right? It's packed with practical vocabulary. It really helps paint that picture for anyone learning.
It really is. The source gives a fantastic list, very relevant stuff for everyday Indonesian. For instance, you've got meset, that's a noun, it means traffic jam. Then there's lapangan, also a noun, means field or maybe court. Lumpuh, that's an adjective meaning paralyzed, often used metaphorically, like we heard, for a network being down.
Ah, right. Like paralyzed network. Makes sense.
Exactly. Then mengungsi, that's a verb to evacuate. Jaringan is a noun for network. Gempa is a noun for quake, like an earthquake. Bingung is an adjective confused. O cuti. This one's interesting. It can be a noun or a verb, means leave or to take leave from work.
Oh, versatile.
Yeah, an untung, that's a noun. Good luck, good fortune, maybe even profit in some contexts. And finally, lampu, a noun for light or lamp.
And those sample sentences in the source, they really help, don't they? They show how to actually use these words. Like for maset. Di jam sibuk, maset merupakan hal yang umum yang terjadi di Jakarta. Which means in rush hour, traffic jams are a common thing that happens in Jakarta. Useful phrase. Or untung. Untung kamu tidak terluka. Meaning, luckily you are not injured.
These aren't just definitions, are they? They're like ready-made chunks for your own conversations.
That's exactly it. And if we dig just a bit deeper into the vocabulary phrase usage section from the source, we find even more subtle stuff. Take mati lampu, literally dead light, right? Mati is to die, off, or dead, and lampu is lamp or light. But here's the thing. This specific phrase, mati lampu, only means a blackout, a power failure. This is really crucial for learners because the meaning is fixed. You can't use it for just any light being off.
Oh, okay. So how would you say, like, the light bulb's dead or I turn the light off? Right, good question. For that, you'd say lampunya mati, you add the nya suffix, which means the. So lampunya mati is literally the light is off. Could be switched off, could be a dead bulb. The example sentence nails it. Apakah rumah kamu mati lampu semalaman? Which means, was there a blackout at your home last night? Asking about a power failure specifically.
Got it. So missing that little nya changes the meaning completely from a general light off to a specific power grid blackout.
Precisely. It's a subtle but important distinction.
Okay, what else?
Another key phrase is gempa bumi for earthquake. We saw gempa means quake, bumi means earth. Put them together. Gempa bumi earthquake. Simple enough. The source also mentions there are different types, like gempa bumi tectonic earthquakes from plate shifts and gempa bumi volcanic earthquakes linked to magma movement. And the example sentence given is quite neat. Gempa bumi itu berlangsung hanya sekitar 5 detik. So the earthquake lasted for only about 5 seconds.
It's really clear how understanding these specific fixed phrases and the little differences, like with mati lampu versus lampunya mati, is just vital. It's absolutely key for communicating accurately and sounding natural, not like you're reading from a dictionary.
Exactly. It's about getting the nuance right.
Okay, now for what I think is, for many learners, maybe the most interesting part, or maybe the most confusing at first. How on earth do you talk about the past in Indonesian when there isn't actually a formal past tense like we have in English? Our brains are so wired for, walked, talked, ate. We change the verb. So if Indonesian doesn't do that, how do you recount the chaos of that earthquake or share a memory without that simple past tense verb? It's a fascinating linguistic puzzle we need to sort of unpack.
It really is the core grammatical insight here. Indonesian just doesn't use verb tenses for past, present, future in the same way. Instead, you rely mainly on two things. One, time signals, words like kemarin, yesterday, tadi, earlier today, dulu, in the past. And two, just the context of the whole conversation. If everyone knows you're talking about, say, the earthquake yesterday, you might not even need to keep saying yesterday. The context makes it completely clear.
Right, the context does a lot of the heavy lifting. Okay, so let's say I want to express something like, when I think about it, or reflect on a past thought. What's a good phrase?
A really common and useful one is kalau dipikir-pikir. That translates pretty well to when I think about it, or maybe thinking about it now. Hurl. Let's break it down. Kalau means if or when. The diepar prefix. This is interesting. It often creates a passive voice verb. It focuses on the action itself. The root word is pikir, which means to think. And repeating it, pikir-pikir, that suggests a repeated action, or maybe thinking something over for a bit. Mulling it over.
So it's not just a quick thought, it's like reflecting.
Exactly. So an example from the source. Kalau dipikir-pikir tinggal di Jakarta lebih nyaman dibandingkan Tokyo. Meaning, when I think about it, living in Jakarta is more convenient than Tokyo. Or another one. Kalau dipikir-pikir harga mobil bekas itu tidak terlalu mahal. When I think about it, the price of that secondhand car is not too expensive.
That repetition thing is really cool. Pikir-pikir for mulling it over. It's quite intuitive in a way. What about something similar, like if I'm trying to remember something, like in retrospect, or when I try to recall?
For that feeling, you'd use kalau dingat. Ingat, it's spelled the same way, really. Kalau mungkin, the prefix again, passive focus. And the root is ingat, which means to remember. And again, ingat, that repetition suggests you're actively trying to recall something, maybe digging back in your memory.
Makes sense. Got an example?
Yep. Kalau ingat, sepertinya saya tiba di sana jam 8:30. Which is like, if I try to remember, seems like I arrived there at 8:30. Or, kalau dingating, saya beli tas ini di Australia. If I try to remember, I bought this bag in Australia.
Okay, that's clear. Now, what if I want to be really explicit that something is based purely on my memory? Like, according to my recollection.
For that, you'd use kalau menurut ingatan, say literally, if according to my memory. So menurut means according to, it comes from the root turut, which means to follow. And ingatan, that's the noun form of ingat, it means memory. So you get sentences like, kalau menurut ingatan saya dia tinggal di Ohio. From what I remember, she lives in Ohio. Or another one, kalau menurut ingatan saya dia tidak suka sayuran. From what I remember, he doesn't like vegetables.
Perfect. And how about if I'm reflecting internally, like imagining a different past or a hypothetical, like I'm imagining what if?
Right. For that, you'd use saya sedang membayangkan. That means I am imagining. Saya is I or me. Sedang is a useful little word, an adverb. It indicates an ongoing action, kind of like adding ing in English, or means at the moment. And membayangkan, the root is bayang, which means shadow, reflection, or like an image in your head. With the mem prefix and the paskan suffix, it becomes the verb to imagine or to visualize.
Okay, so how would that sound in a sentence?
Like this. Saya sedang membayangkan bagaimana kalau saya tidak kenal kamu. I'm imagining what it would be like if I didn't know you. Or, Saya sedang membayangkan apa yang akan terjadi bila dia tidak datang. I'm imagining what will happen if he doesn't come.
Got it. And one more, a really common one, I bet. How do you just ask someone, do you remember, like prompting them?
Ah, yes, very common. You'd say, kamu ingat tidak, which means, do you remember or not? Kamu is the informal you, ingat is remember, and adding tidak, no or not at the end is a standard way to form a yes-no question in informal Indonesian. It's literally like saying, you remember no.
Right. Examples.
Sure. Kamu ingat tidak orangnya seperti apa? Do you remember what the person looks like? Or not? Or maybe about a shared past. Kamu ingat tidak waktu kita masih SMA? Do you remember when we were in high school?
It's really clear that getting these specific phrases down isn't just about vocabulary. It's about understanding the whole system Indonesian uses to talk about time and memory, without relying on verb tenses the way English does. It feels absolutely crucial for any learner who wants to sound natural discussing the past.
Absolutely, it's fundamental.
Now, let's step back a bit from the pure language points. Why use an earthquake as the backdrop for this lesson? Our source gives us some really interesting, maybe sobering cultural context here. It helps understand why this topic is so relevant in Indonesia.
Yes, this context is really important to grasp. Indonesia is located in a region, the Pacific Ring of Fire, that makes it very prone to natural disasters. Floods, earthquakes, landslides, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis. These are unfortunately quite common occurrences, and while, smaller earthquakes, maybe magnitude 5 or so, happen daily without much notice or damage, Indonesia experiences, on average, about 2 or more major earthquakes over magnitude 7 every single year. And those larger ones almost always cause significant damage and, sadly, casualties.
Wow, 2 major ones a year on average. That's significant.
It is. And the source highlights 2 absolutely devastating examples to really drive this home. First, the infamous 2004 Boxing Day earthquake off the coast of Aceh in Sumatra. That was a massive 9.2 magnitude. It triggered that catastrophic tsunami that killed, estimates vary, but around 230,000 people, and left something like 650,000 homeless. And while the tsunami hit other countries too, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, Indonesia was by far the hardest hit.
Unimaginable devastation.
Truly. And then the second biggest one mentioned also happened in Sumatra just the next year, March 28th, 2005. That was an 8.6 magnitude quake. It killed over 1,300 people, though thankfully it only produced a small tsunami that time. So this reality shapes things. And the source gives us a useful phrase for it, Gempa bumi berskala tinggi, meaning a high magnitude earthquake.
Knowing this context, it's more than just a background fact, isn't it? It becomes a lens for understanding the language. I mean, think about living somewhere where these huge events aren't just history book things, but a recurring possibility, a reality. It really raises a question for you listening to this. How does knowing that reality that earthquakes are common and impactful deepen your appreciation for how Indonesian reflects that? How does the language become a tool not just for talking about the past, but for navigating these shared experiences, for planning, for resilience? It seems language would have to adapt.
It absolutely does. It shapes communication priorities.
So today, we took a real deep dive into an Indonesian language lesson. We started with that conversation set after an earthquake. We pulled out key words and phrases. We untangled that really unique grammar around talking about the past without past tenses. And we tried to ground it all in that crucial cultural context, understanding Indonesia as a place often shaped by these powerful natural events.
Yeah, and that brings us to a final thought, something for you to maybe mull over. When a language like Indonesian doesn't rely on a formal past tense, using time signals and context instead, what might that suggest about the cultural perception of time itself? How could that shape communication differently compared to languages like English, which are so tense-heavy? And maybe most importantly, how can understanding this kind of nuance make you a more empathetic, a more effective communicator, not just in Indonesian, but across different cultures?
That's a great question to ponder. Remember, language is so much more than just words on a page. It's a window into culture, a tool for connection, so keep exploring and keep learning.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.